Welcome to Name That Voice, a series where we discuss all things voice-related. This is the first episode, and so I think it only fitting we discuss how digital audio wavelength recording came to be. Just a brief disclaimer, I wrote this, actually this was originally a blog post back a few years ago, and I repurposed it for this podcast. And I was working over the holidays, and I just did not have the free time or anything to get the other episodes written. And so that's how I reached out and got help with research. So this one was researched and written by me specifically a few years ago, and it really focuses on the history of audio. So it's a summary of the whole aspect of how we got to recording audio and like the wavelengths, the science behind it. Episode 2 is going to be the history behind the art, and that really kind of digs deep. So I know everyone's like, wait a minute, you said 1806 before. I did. That is still relevant. That's going to be in episode 2. Just bear with me, okay? Growing pains of a new series. I think that's the only hiccup we're going to have because there was a little bit discrepancy of me planning it. So apologies. I still think it's a solid video, and I know that you are going to enjoy it. If you are new, it is my dream to be an entertainer. So if you are at all entertained by this video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Voiceover has a long, inspiring history. I think most of us have heard the story of when the very popular radio drama War of Worlds premiered in 1938 and how the entire nation feared for their safety as the listeners did not realize it was not the news. Yes, the story has actually been a bit hyped from what happened in reality, but will forever be ingrained in audio history regardless. The phonograph is the earliest known sound recording device, capturing actual sound waves, like what you would see in your audio editing software. It was invented by Edouard-Leon Scott, and it was patented on March 25, 1857. He originally based the design off the anatomy of an ear canal, which I personally find so incredible. Consider for a moment reading a book. He was a bookseller by trade. And being so motivated by a single concept, you take it upon yourself to dig deeper and see what can be created. Scott made several versions, as did other inventors. I find it funny that no matter how much society changes, some things stay the same. Take YouTube trends. In 2017-18, everyone was making slime. Even the articles I'm sourcing were written within days of each other. I would love to be a fly on the wall just to know how it came to be that everyone thought to try to record sound at the same time. Perhaps there were news articles written about the idea? I don't know. However, although he was the first to record audio and display it visually, Thomas Edison was the first to playback audio audibly using his phonograph, invented in 1877. On June 22, 1878 in St. Louis, the world hears its first blooper. After hearing a 23-second cornet solo and Mary Had a Little Lamb, the voice can be heard laughing as he recites Old Mother Hubbard incorrectly, stating, "Look at me, I don't know the song." Scott passed away in April of 1879, and I wonder if he was happy to know that sound could be captured and replayed, or disappointed that he himself had not created the invention. Reading into his life, it seems he was more interested in the concept of talk-to-text, as he wanted to record audio in a written format. Although he sold a few phonautographs which were used to study sound waves, he never profited from the venture. Instead, he turned his interest to the relationship between logistics, people's names, and their character, which I must admit sounds absolutely fascinating to me. But unfortunately, initial researches did not turn up the actual article. If you happen to find it, pass it my way, please. Yet in 2008, Scott's recording was finally heard. It is a 10-second clip of supposedly Scott singing the French folk song Au clair de la lune on April 9th, 1860. That's 163 years ago. In fact, despite Edison premiering first, Scott holds the Guinness World Record for having the oldest recorded human voice. The oldest recorded sound would actually go to the tuning fork, but that doesn't seem relevant for our conversations, so I won't go into that. Edison's invention led to the phonautograph record, or vinyls, in the 1880s, which birthed the 8-track and cassette tapes in the 1960s, CDs in 1982, and now we simply download the songs we like on our phone or MP3 player. That, of course, is the history of music more than voiceover, but the concept is the same, and I would argue that audiobooks share the same history. Talking books began in the 1930s to assist the blind and hard of seeing, but the popularity and terminology of audiobooks rose in the 1970s with the decreased favoritism of cassette tapes. We'll talk about that more in a later episode. The history of radio could take an entire video on its own, but the first radio news program was broadcast on August 31st, 1920 by station 8MK in Detroit, Michigan. But those are radio hosts. What about voiceover? What about commercials? Well, on August 28, 1922, around 5 p.m., the first ever radio commercial was presented, the Hawthorne Court Apartments in Jackson Heights on the New York radio station WEAF by AT&T. They bought 10 minutes for $50. I recommend reading the entire article by John McDonough for more color to the story. I just wanted to put all of the clip notes together. I wanted to find out who voiced the first radio commercial that wasn't the radio host or a representative of the company being advertised, but I couldn't find a name. However, Tibbs did, so that will be in a later episode, I promise. It's amazing how thoughts and inventions snowball into a wide scope of careers and passions. How many people owe their livelihood or greatest hobby and enjoyment to Edison, and even Scott? What concepts are we thinking of now that will mean so much to so many next century? I hope you enjoyed this pilot episode of Name That Voice. All source material will be listed in the description of this video and the show notes of the podcast, should you wish to go down this rabbit hole on your own. If you have any requests for research topics, please let me know in the comments section. And thank you for watching. Remember that you are loved, you are worthy, and whatever you are struggling with today will pass. Until next time, stay crazy!